cheer and boo and raise a hullabaloo at the ball game today.
Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. It's Tuesday night, and I'm going to record this video tonight, but this video is actually coming out on Friday, Friday what, the 18th? And I'm doing that because my mom's in town, or my mom's with me that weekend, so I wanted to release a video out quickly. And I really don't have much to tell you guys, but I just wanted to say hi and check in. All right. That's Walter, by the way. He won't come up here. That's probably the best view we're going to get of him. But anyway, I just wanted to say hi to you guys. And I did a take two because I wanted you all to see Walter. I adopted him 6 months ago. He is 9 years old. He is a senior cat. If I'm going to encourage you to adopt the pet, adopt the senior pet. All right. Okay, guys, what am I going to show you today? Because I'm not going to talk to you. 1961 Topps. I'm going to show you a video right now, my complete set. I finished the set a couple of weeks ago. Thanks all for watching. I'll see you next week. All right, so let's start looking at this 1961 Topps set. I have taken my binder out. And as you guys always know, here's what I put on the spine. I put the team that won the World Series that year. In this case, it's going to be the New York Yankees. Usually when I have a card like this, it's a duplicate. It's usually a little bit more of a beater. Or if it's an expensive card, I'll just make a photocopy. But that's what goes on the spine of my binder, is the team that won the World Series that season. So I learned this idea, and I always like to give him credit every time I make one of these set videos that I've taken from a binder. Rocket J Rick 18. He has the incredible idea of taking the sheets out of the binder for the video, and it really does make a difference. It really does work. So let's take a look here. We have got to the first 9 cards featuring the 1960 MVP Dick Groat, along with the 1960 American League MVP Roger Maris. Little did people know when they bought these cards in 1961 the things that were about to happen in front of them. Now, this set is 587 cards. There's Brooks Robinson. This set is one of the first sets to feature a card dedicated to checklists. Previously, checklists were included on the back of team cards, but this was the one set that included checklists as its own card. Now, some of you might say 1957 had checklists. They did, but those weren't included as part of the set. These are actual cards from the set. So we've got a nice design here. It's simple. I really think it's really only missing, there's Frank Robinson, Nevada Pinson. It's really missing a logo. If you added a logo here, these cards would look spectacular. I still think they look really good. There's Nellie Fox, Ron Santo rookie card. And this set is filled with really good subsets. In fact, we've come up with our first subset here, and this is the League Leaders card. This would be the first time a set would have League Leaders cards. In this case, we have the batting leaders, home run leaders, ERA leaders, pitching leaders, strikeout leaders, and a good subset. Lots of good Hall of Famers, lots of good players that didn't make it to the Hall. And that was one of the first of our many subsets. Here we got Marv Thornberry before he was drafted by the Mets in the expansion draft. Jim Kaat, second year card. First year with the Minnesota Twins. We have a couple of new teams. Expansion teams are the Los Angeles Angels, and also the Minnesota Twins moved to from Washington, so they are a new team, a relocated team, and then Washington Senators Mach 2 took over. So we now have 22, no, make that what? We have 18 teams. There's Ted Kluszewski on the Los Angeles Angels. So because of that, you're going to see with the expansion draft that occurred, you're going to see guys in their old uniforms, but playing for a different team. And that's something they couldn't do anything about back then. It's really just a reality. If you're going to go back, there's Harmon Killebrew, and critique the set based on this, it was a different era, you guys. Just enjoy the cards for what they are. Here's Richie Ashburn on the Cubs, Billy Martin on the Milwaukee Braves, Norm Cash. Here's the Series 2 checklist. There are 7 series in this set. And as we get deeper into the sets, we'll discuss a little bit more detail. There's Whitey Herzog, Harvey Haddix. Some good-looking poses here. Yes, there are a lot of capless cards. I get it. But at the same time, there's a lot of great uniforms in here. Hobie Landreth, you get to see his Giants uniform. Vada Pinson on the Reds. Just take a look at the uniforms, how the Kansas City A's, before they were green and yellow. The Orioles with their caps. That's Steve Barber right there. And then we get to our next subset, which is manager cards. And when you look at some of these manager cards, some of these guys were either really good, long-time, well-known managers, former ball players, Hall of Famers, guys like Al Lopez, guys like Ralph Houck, managers like Fred Hutchinson. Good-looking names on here. Walt Alston, future Hall of Famer. Chuck Dressen. I know him more as the Dodger manager of the early 50s. Danny Murtaugh won 2 World Series. So Solly Hemus, I remember. Now here's where we get to our first hole. So in this case, that means I have a graded card. And it's a graded card that I'll make a photocopy of and I'll insert in here. But I haven't gotten around to that now. And that player, in this case, is Billy Williams. That's the Billy Williams rookie that I'm sharing with you right here. Card number 141. All right. So as we keep trudging along, we've got also the rookie card, the rookie trophies, the All-Star rookies. That's a good look. There's Willie Mays, card number 150. Whitey Ford, card number 160. Team cards, you got the Orioles right there. Tommy Davis, soon to be 2-time batting champ. And one of the first designated hitters in the 70s. Beantown Bombers you've got in there. Bobby Richardson, my 1 autographed card in the set. I've only got 2 autographed cards, Nolan Ryan being the other. There's Bobby Richardson signing. Don Larson, no longer on the Yankees, a member of the Kansas City Athletics. Herb Score, now on the White Sox, no longer on the Indians. All right, here's where, your San Francisco Giant hat could have looked a little better after what I just said. And we got Series 3 checklist coming up. As we're skimming through, there's Warren Spahn way up here. Billy Pierce on the White Sox. Dodger Southpaw with 2 of my favorite left-handers, Sandy Koufax and Johnny Padres. Just a beautiful photographs of cards. When you're looking at cards, you just have to appreciate the year they were made. Yeah, the design's a little simple compared to what 1960 was, all colorful. But it's just the sign of the times. There's Bob Gibson. There were some very good photographs. The thing I love about this Bob Gibson is the road cap that the Cardinals wore back then. I think that's actually more attractive than the red cap they currently wear. And I think they still wear these on the road to this day. Just good looking caps. Now we're up to our second set of managers. Gene Mauch of the Phillies, Alvin Dark, Jimmy Dykes, longtime White Sox, Hall of Famer Joe Gordon, Bob Sheffing of the Tigers, Bill Rigney. He would become the Angel. He is the Angel manager there. He'd stick around for 8 or 9 years. Harry Lavagetto, I know him as Cookie. That's Cookie Lavagetto of the Brooklyn Dodgers, but now he's managing the Minnesota Twins. A name I remember from my youth, Juan Pizarro. But he by the time I saw him, he was a very old guy. He was probably in his last year. Don Hoke of the Pirates, Bill White. Just some good names in this set. Billy Lowe's, Jim Gilliam. Joe Adcock, the Reds team. You got your Bucks aces here. Leo, I know him as Leo Cardenas, but his cards are always Chico Cardenas. There's Vic Power, the first black player on the Boston Red Sox, now on the Indians. Don Drysdale. Lots of pretty cards taken at Yankee Stadium. The National League photos, I am curious where they are taken. I have not done the research on that. It used to be done in the old days at the Polo Grounds and at Ebbets Field, but the Dodgers and the Giants had long left for California. Speaking of California, there's Frank Howard. And we got the Carl Yastrzemski card there. Same pose as 1960, same face. Stan Musial. I forgot I had that card, to be honest with you. I was actually in my head, I like to do an inventory of the Hall of Famers I have. And I said to myself for Stan Musial, I said, I only have the 53 Bowman and the 63 Topps. I forgot I also have the 61 Topps. I like this pose. I like the uniforms. Wes Covington at the bat rack. Like the cap. Just, that's what I like about cards. It's just the pictures. I've always admired, as a child, I was really into baseball pictures. So I still like to enjoy them when I see them. I've got a hole up here that I'll show to you in a second. And that is card number 300, Mickey Mantle. Great card to own. He had a spectacular year in 1961, along with his buddy Roger Maris. And along with his teammates, all of the New York Yankees, they went on to win the World Series that year. In fact, that's going to be a subject of a future video of mine regarding the 1961 Yankees. But as we move along on the 1961 Topps set, now we got the World Series card starting. Here's Mickey Mantle again, Mazeroski's home run. I mean, that must have been amazing to be there. And it shows them celebrating. Just a good-looking subset. Lots of good-looking subsets. This is a very underrated set. I think too many people focused on the design and the caps not being on certain players. Lou Burdette, top pitcher in his day. My man Wally Moon hitting his moon shots at the Coliseum, at the LA Coliseum for the Dodgers. Matty Alou. Got your American League aces along with Al Lopez there in the middle with Herb Score and Early Wynn. Just some incredible names here. And we're about to come up to our next hole here as we see my man Ernie Banks giving a good smile as he always does, which would lead us to card 344 missing, and that is my favorite pitcher in the world, Mr. Sandy Koufax, featured here. Just about to hit his stride. In 1960, we started to see somewhat of a change in him from the previous years, and in 61 is where I would say Koufax went in the third gear. He was about to start having the most amazing career that a pitcher could have in a 5-6 year period. There's Sandy Koufax. We keep going through. Frank Robinson, the most underrated player in the hobby. For some reason, his cards just don't go up in value. New checklist for Series 5. I found working on these series pretty easy till we get to the last two series. And there's Moose Skowron. That was not an easy card to get. The Yankee cards, it's always the Yankees and the Dodgers that seem to be the hardest, but I've had the Dodger cards for several years. The Yankee cards were a little harder to get. They're a little bit better looking. They're in a little bit better shape. They're just good looking cards. But Moose Skowron's up there. Ken Boyer, Red Sox team. Bobby Shantz, 1952 American League MVP. Can you believe that man is still alive? It's amazing. Minnie Minoso. What else? Jim Perry, his rookie card. He had a decent career there in the 60s and early 70s. Bob, Don't Call Me Roberto Clemente. I should say it the other way. Ralph Terry of the Yankees. Del Crandall, all-star shortstop. We just got some names on here. We really do. And there's Hank Bauer, former Yankee, about to become the manager, I think, at that point. in Kansas City. I think it'd be a couple of more years, and then eventually he'd become the Baltimore Orioles manager and lead them to a World Series. Next subset, baseball thrills. If you're a Yankee fan, look at this. Babe Ruth, Don Larson, Lou Gehrig. Then we've got Rogers Hornsby. We've got the infamous 26 inning game between Brooklyn and Boston. The worst Mickey Mantle card in the set. I wish Mickey Mantle was in there. Christy Mathewson, Walter Johnson, Harvey Haddix, just wonderful guys, wonderful players. Eddie Yost. And you're like, why are you bringing up Eddie Yost? Okay, this is this is what I call the first Los Angeles Angels baseball card. Yes, we are on card number 4 something. There are previous Angels before, but this is the first card that is featured, or a player is featured with his cap and his uniform with his new team. And that's the other thing, some people might say, oh, these expansion cards, they look ugly. But when you get to the 5th, 6th series, and you get to see the players in their new uniforms, the cards look really nice. I think I've got 2 holes up here. I do. From Dick Hauser, future Yankee manager. And those 2 cards would be Hank Aaron. I'm going to do one at a time just because I notice there's a glare. Hank Aaron and Juan Marichal. Marichal being the rookie card. Both good-looking cards. Great players. Great cards that have in any collection. And I've got another hole coming up here, but there's my man Al Kaline. There's Hall of Famer Bill Mazeroski. And the next card that we're going to feature is going to be Yogi Berra. A lot of MVPs. This guy was, he was a great player, and I just don't think he gets discussed enough from a baseball perspective. He seems to get discussed more from a popular culture perspective. I think the man was a 3-time MVP. And yes, I do hear his name when they talk about great catchers, along with Johnny Bench or Roy Campanella. I just think he should be featured a little bit more prominent than what I hear. Just whenever I'm discussing great catchers. So as we turn the page, we're not going to have any more graded cards till the end. And I've got my man Orlando Cepeda, Curt Flood. Series 6, this is where things start getting serious as a collector. You go on through the first few series, you're like, yeah, this is easy. Series 6 is a little bit more difficult, and it's probably because some of the players, such as Duke Snider, Del Rice, and his catcher, his Angel uniform, future Angel manager, by the way, of 1972. Got some Cardinals players. Early Win, that's a great card. I love that card from the 61 set. Early Win, Gil Hodges. That's his last Dodger card. He would be on the Mets the next year. More team cards, Milwaukee Braves. And that brings up the point with the Milwaukee Braves. Let me see if I can flip this over, if I can read this properly. There are 2 463s. The Braves, and right here, Jack Fisher. They're both card number 463. The Milwaukee team card should be card number 426. They never fixed the error, so because of that, there was no card number 426. So when I sorted them, I decided to keep them in numerical order, just like the TCDB, the Trading Card Database, did. So I have put them in the binder that way. So Yogi Berra is card number 425. So next to Yogi, I put card number 427. I didn't leave a hole there. So there are the Braves. Johnny Callison, good-looking pose, good-looking smile. Love the uniform. They took some good pictures back then. Oh, here's one of my favorite subsets. I would say this is probably my second favorite subset. The MVPs from 1950 through 1960. Phil Rizzuto. You've got Yogi Berra, 3-time MVP Bobby Shantz, Al Rosen, Mickey Mantle won it twice, Jackie Jensen, Nellie Fox. Beautiful red backgrounds for the American League. And as we flip the page, we got one more American Leaguer in Roger Maris, 1960. National League, you get the blue background. Campy won 3 MVPs, 51, 53, 55. Willie Mays has won one at this point. I tend to think, a friend of mine asked me, why is this blacked out? Why isn't he wearing his Giants cap? I have a feeling they, for some reason, that since he was still playing, they didn't want him in a New York Giants logo. Like the two Brooklyn guys, they weren't playing anymore. Actually, I think Newcomb was, but he wasn't on the Dodgers anymore. I just think they didn't want to show Mays in a New York Giants logo. That's just my theory. Hank Aaron, two-time MVP Ernie Banks, Dick Groat, just some great names. Not all Hall of Famers, but just great players. Good-looking subset. Really can't put this set down. Elston Howard, 1963 AL MVP. We're not there yet. Tito Francona. That's Terry's dad. Current Reds manager, Red Schoendienst. That might, I don't know, that might be his last player card. I could be wrong there. Willie Davis. And we're starting to head into Rocky Bridges, what I called Series 7. Willie McCovey. When you get to Series 7, the brother battery of Larry and Norm Sherry, it's where this is where this collection, this set becomes extremely difficult. Starting with Joe Gibbon. The reason I wanted to build the 1961 set was because I had a buddy as a child, my buddy Eric, who I talk about a lot. He had the 61, he was building the 61 set, and he complained about those high numbers. And back in my day, when I was a kid, those cards were expensive. So I wanted to try these. And at the beginning, I was finding cards $10, $11. And I was doing okay, but some of the cards costed me $30, and some of the graded cards cost me between $50 and $150. So like the Paranovsky wasn't cheap, but it's just a neat set to have just because the high numbers, I don't know what the population is on these. They're just not as easy to find, especially out on the West Coast. When I buy cards, 90% of the time, the seller is on the East Coast. So that's one of the reasons I don't think a lot of vintage made it out west. Raleigh Sheldon, what an expensive card. Same thing with Roger Craig. Hoyt Wilhelm. Some of these cards were a real pain. The Twins card, that was a pain in the butt to get. The Pirates card was difficult. Still, these cards are good looking. They're high numbers. We're getting to the end of the series, the end of the set. That Bob Serve card I will never forget as long as I live, just because it was so expensive, so hard to get. Same with the Jim Gentile card and the Felipe Alou card. So at this point, we get to the end of the player run. That's 565. They still had 22 cards left. And they were all, for me, the best subset that's ever been created. And that is the All-Star subset. And we started off with Paul Richards. Now, these cards that I'm about to show you in the next few weeks, I would say in the next month, they are going to move out of where they are currently being stored. There's Danny Murtaugh, and they are getting their own display case on one of my walls. I am buying two 12-card Pinzani display cases, and the American League is going to go in one case, National League is going to go in another case, just because I love these cards so much. I think the reason that I love them was because being a 70s child, I only knew the 1970 Topps All-Stars card, which looked somewhat like this, not as nice. The printing was a lot darker on these. They were black compared to 1970 felt a little bit more gray, dark gray. And there's Nellie Fox. And I always remember my buddy Eric showing me these at a card show like in 1979, 1980, and I instantly said, "Oh my God, those are beautiful." And he had one or two of them. He bought one or two of them, but he was trading some stuff. I want to say to get these cards because they were not cheap. And I was able to get some good deals, but I still had to pay some money, as you have Brooks Robinson right there. There's Ken Boyer. But this is a beautiful subset. Luis Aparicio, shortstop, a lot of Hall of Famers. Ernie Banks. Wait till we get to the outfield. There's Ernie Banks. And I'm putting the cards here because I'm trying to avoid a glare. Roger Maris, not a Hall of Famer. He should be a Hall of Famer. Look at this, Hank Aaron and right. So Maris was in right, the American League right fielder. Hank Aaron's the National League right fielder. Mickey Mantle, which was the most expensive card I had to buy for this subset, is the center fielder. Now, this is my favorite one though, the Willie Mays. That's a beauty. That's one of the first ones I bought. National League center fielder, Willie Mays. We're not done with the outfielders. We still got some big names. Al Kaline, another Hall of Famer. Frank Robinson, another Hall of Famer in left field. Then we get to the catchers. We get some pretty good catchers in their era. No, they are not Hall of Famers, but they were all-stars for consecutive years. Earl Batty of the Minnesota Twins, along with Del Crandall of the Milwaukee Braves. I remember him as the Brewers manager in the 70s. The pitchers, you got right-handed pitchers. That's Jim Perry, Gaylord's Gaylord's older brother. Good pitcher in his day. He put up some good numbers. Didn't get the attention Gaylord got, but Jim Perry had a good long career as well. Bob Friend, another guy that put up solid numbers with the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 60s. And last two guys, Whitey Ford, featured again up here. And the last guy, Warren Spahn, card number 589. Now, I showed you these in numerical order. So Ford is 586, Spahn is 589. For some reason, there's no card numbers 587, 588. I tend to think maybe it was more of a technical glitch because there wasn't any more All-Stars to show. So they could have moved Spahn up to 587. There are technically 589 cards in the set. Or excuse me, there's technically 587 cards in the set, and the cards are numbered to 589. All right, you guys, if you stuck around this long, thanks so much for hanging out. That's a look at my 1961 top set. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.
It's a beautiful day for a ball game.